Okay. I actually just downloaded the design, so I figured I could just start here really briefly. Okay, so we see two things. One, 35 RAM of 355 pixels. That's what this card will be on desktop. Yeah, so now we know the width, 3.5. And for mobile, we start 326. Okay. So, and then we've got some padding for, like, in this case, body, but you know, the container, whatever contains this card, we have some padding. So you can see 2.5 here, and this happens to be 2.4. It's always like this in front-end mentor, and this is almost always 326. So you might be tempted to do a min width and max width or something like that, but I think we will get away with width will be 100%. And we'll have a max width of 35 RAM. So with that in mind, I'm just gonna start reviewing stuff now. Let's see. Body flex, perfect. So this is a good way to center something. Did you do this the first time? I don't think you did. But either way, this is the right way. There's even one more shortcut you can have. So display grid. Maybe I'll zoom in. I'm not sure how this might come out in video. Display grid, and then we can do place items center, and I'll just prove to you that it's working. You can see it's perfectly centered. So this is actually, if you have one child in an element, this will position it perfectly vertically and horizontally. And you can actually see the place items happens to be align and justify items. Yeah, and that's in CSS grid. So instead of justify content, you actually use justify items. No biggie. You don't have to remember this stuff. You'll get used to it over time. Rest of the stuff. So use the background image for the circles. Okay. You used so these are fixed positions. Yes. Yes, more or less. Cool. Okay, fixed positions. I'm not gonna get too in depth with the background images. I'm not an expert myself on images. I don't use them enough, unfortunately, in designs. I just do. I literally, whenever it comes to images, I'm learning on the go and forgetting as soon as it's finished. Okay. Profile preview card. Yep, that's what this is. Good naming. I like it. Display flex column. Justify content. Okay. Little hack. Cool. Got it. It's not a hack. You've done everything correctly. I like it, but there's probably a better way of doing this stuff. Probably with CSS grid as well. Okay. Text align center. Background image. So that's that. Got it. Width. Height. So I assume, yes, so this breaks the design if... Okay, so straight away I'll tell you this. Whenever I see a fixed height like this in a component, I always assume there's a better way of doing something. So let me show you exactly what I mean. If I did this as HTML, I'm just gonna copy and paste this location tag a few times. Yeah. Okay, gonna click out. The design is now broken. Why is the design broken? Because it's not coded to be flexible. So let's say you want to change something in the future. You then have to remember that you set something in more or less fixed pixels. You know, it's now fixed. So anything will break it, and then you'll have to go in your various places and reposition, recalculate, and blah, blah, blah. It's arguably not the best way to go about it, but it's okay. So far I can see that you have learned, or at the very least implemented quite a lot of Flex, which is nice. I like to see that. Flexbox is crucial, just so you know now. Flexbox is like the way you're going to be positioning most things. And then grid will be what you use wherever you like it. You could use grid for everything you use Flex for, by the way. If you prefer grid, then you can absolutely do that. Okay, then we've got this image here. Okay. So what I would say here is, it's good that you figured out how to position this, but it's not what we use position relative for. Position relative, and I might actually have, do I still have an example or do I not? I do. Okay, this is actually gonna come in handy. Okay, so position relative, I'm gonna switch some stuff off one by one, just so we see what it does, yeah? So right now you see, we've got a container, and then we have a counter, this white box, and we've got a commented out paragraph with some hello. I'm just gonna inspect this counter element because there's something I don't understand and I want to understand it. So right now it has a display of block. Okay, cool. Happy with that. So let's see, position relative shouldn't do anything. And you'll see that it did nothing. That's what it looks like anyway, right? Now nothing has actually happened. And let's see, what does it mean? So for child elements, so when you put position relative in the container, the parent, yeah, you're actually specifying that position relative will be used by the child. So in this case, the counter. I'll show you how in a second. So position yourself relatively to me. That's literally, in the English language, I think that's what this means. If I had to translate position relative to someone, yeah? And then, okay. And let's actually stick with this kind of verbalization. Whoops. Let's stick. So for, so okay, we can skip this. We are in the child element. I will absolutely position myself to you. So now you've got, if once we declare position absolute in the child, it did two things, as you might have noticed. One thing is I think it changed the display. I just want to check. Am I an idiot? Yes, I am. Nope, it's still block. I'm not sure why the width changed, I'll be honest with you. I'll figure that out at some other point. But okay, position absolute, so what have we done? So far it doesn't appear like we've done anything, right? So I'm gonna do this as well. Okay, so now we're gonna get this paragraph on top. And you can kind of see like, well, hold on. We haven't actually done anything, so it's not really absolutely positioned, or is it? We can test this. If we do left 0 and top 0, I'm going to uncomment it. Look at that. It moved left 0 and top 0, which is the top left corner in this case. And we can do one more little conversion. We can do transform translate, -50, -50%. What this means is move myself, in this case minus 50% of my own width on the x-axis. Yeah, so the horizontal axis, move 50% to the left, and the second one to the top, because we got minus, therefore we're going to the top. If we went plus, we'd be going to the bottom, of course. Yeah. So you can kind of see this is literally the use case of relative and absolute. That's how you use them together. Yeah. But you don't use relative and then you do just so you can do top, you know, -5 rem or something like that. That's not what position relative is used for. So just so you know, yeah, like a little lesson. Okay, what else do we have? Right, and then you used top, yeah, instead of using margins. That is essentially part of the issue as well. So if I'm going to remove them, I'll show you what should have happened. It's not going to work flawlessly because I would have to change everything in this design. But that's fine, yeah. Let me just, so this would be the more natural behavior, what we would want to expect. Yeah, this is quite literally what margin is for. Margin is to position something outside of the element itself. Yeah. And in some hacky scenarios, you can actually use minus to position the element as well. But in this case, we pushed away from the top, I believe. Yeah. So if I hover, you can see that we're pushing away. So if I hover this, there's no margin, and then there is a margin. Yeah. And this is all to do with this box model over here. The box model is everything you really have to understand about just almost any element you work with. padding is of course crucial. So padding is, so margin is outside, padding is inside. So we can set padding for this card, for example. You know, if we wanted to. I'm pretty sure you probably have some padding, eh? Or not. I suppose you don't need to because you've got justifying content and stuff. Oh, that's cool. No worries. We'll get to a potential solution. So yeah, this is the correct approach. Yeah, in the future. So don't do this. Relative and top. You know, again, like if there's if there's one tiny element, then you can. Otherwise, I wouldn't advise it. If we go here, same thing, same thing. Let's see. So this is them. You don't have to specify flex direction row because it's row by default. Align items, center. This is good. This is also very good. It shows me understand Flexbox. Is there a padding here? Padding top. How are we doing this stuff? Okay, perfect. Got it. Sorry, space around. For some reason I thought it was space between. I was like, where's the padding coming from? Okay, space around is fine. I have no issue. I don't think this is a list. This is an unordered list, and these are list items. It's good that you practiced that, but it's not what I would expect here. Because this is effectively like the same thing. This isn't a list of two things, you'd agree. It's one stat. Yeah? So, so here you have profile stats. So here you could just have stat, for example. Or if you want to follow BEM, you have profile stats and stat. That's a good way of writing this particular class for this unordered list. And instead, this would probably change into a div, if I had to be honest. Obviously, now it makes no sense, but it would probably change into a div. Let me just refresh. Overall, I think this is a good job. Let's just quickly check what kind of stuff did I point you at as well. Write mobile first. We'll get to that in a moment. Starting mobile first. Make the shift from column to row a bit later. Wait, what? Uh-oh. Oh. Why am I so confused right now? Alex. Right. So, oh. Am I misunderstanding something? Was I supposed to review this one? I've grown, yes, makes sense. Also brought from the pretty good stuff. Rename classes. I appreciate it. I read the solution with a thing improved. What do you think? Also, at the time, do you make the next solution profile? Oh, okay, perfect, cool. Okay, cool. I guess I have a few more things to review. My bad. I really misunderstood what happened. I assumed that the link was actually in the same project. It wasn't. Okay, let's review this one as well. Because with this one, I'm almost done now. I want to show you how to build stuff a bit differently. There's one more thing I could do. Main, it's actually not a main in this case. This is actually closer to like being an article. What article means is that it's a self-contained article of just about any information. So the question becomes then, can I use this element, let's say in another website, and will it make sense by itself? I think it would. And just like an article, like a blog post, I could copy a blog post from, I don't know, BBC, put it on my website, and it would make sense by itself as an article. Yeah, that's an article, effectively. There was one more thing I wanted to cover. Yeah. So let's say, so we have the width here. Okay. And in this case, does this have padding, your body? No, perfect. So we'll do this, yeah? We'll do padding. So top, I don't really care. Left, we will do, no, this is right, 2.4 rem. 0, and then 2.5 RAM, I think it was. So you've got the padding for mobile. We're gonna do mobile now, just a little check. Let's just, no, I don't want this one. Yep. Okay, so we've got that, we've got some padding. Then we look at the article, width 32 RAM. I don't want width 32 RAM. I want width 100%. And I want max width to be, what was the design again? 35.6? No, 35. 32.6, my bad. 30, width 100%, that's fine, and max width is 35 RAM, which will actually bring us to another issue, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so another issue is, and I forgot about this one, sorry. So you see this, yeah? You have width. Here you set a fixed, or rather static width of 32 RAM, which I understand why you did that, because initially your card was 32 RAM as well. But this isn't responsive. So now when you change the width of this, which let's say we just did to correct it and bring it closer to the original design, you have to change this as well. So instead, why don't we just do 100%? And now whatever the card is, as you can see, and this is why I don't want to set a minimum width, is because the card can still sort of make sense even in this ridiculously small display, which is unrealistic. I think people would start displays like somewhere around here, the smallest ones. So you can see it still makes sense, you know? It doesn't break stuff too much. But yeah, that's kind of the responsive aspect of the width and height thing. Cool. Let's quickly review. Is this your solution? I think it is. Let's crack on and have a look-see. So write mobile first. Starting mobile first, make the shift, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You mentioned not using flex bases, and then what the fix is. Yep, cool. Okay. Basic control and width. Yep. Also browsed your solutions with pretty good stuff, and I'll rename my classes to better match the roles. Cool. I'm picking up that you really like learning this stuff, or at the very least, you're very good at learning. Is that Bootstrap? Oh no, not Bootstrap. I went over to Bootstrap, blah, blah, blah. I'll have to do it again at least once. I'm gonna write down. Yeah, honestly, this stuff, I don't usually respond to this kind of stuff well. But do not worry if something's confusing. Go through something a million times if you have to. Don't, yeah. Like, honestly, I do that all the time. It's a new concept every bloody day. All right, let's have a look. How does this feeling? It's feeling really good right now. It's super responsive. Okay. Look at that. Perfect. I don't know if I would keep on expanding these cards, by the way. I think I would have a max width for mobile. I would stop around here, you know? And then as you grow the display, let's see if we can do it. So this is, Okay, so here I would actually have, this is a sedans card. I would also add something like card, you know, a preview card or something, because so you can share the styling a bit easier. Well, that's fine. We can do all this stuff quite okay. And then there's a nice, cool, perfect. I was looking for the media query. Can I? Can I add like an extra class? New style rule. Look at that. I can. Perfect. So let's do that now. Card. Actually, can we add? You know what? We can just add it here. I don't even have to do any work. Cool. So let's do a max width for now. And max width, I don't know what. Fine. Let's just say. I'm not sure if you did that RAM thing actually. Let's have a look. Yes, you did. Awesome. Very happy. Max width, 45 RAM. All right. So now it's gonna stay that way, and then, so it's not okay. And obviously you have to position it center, but I think you get the gist. Yeah. So okay, align items center. 9 item center. It's Flexbox. Overflow hidden. Okay. I'm missing something obvious. Why am I missing? What am I missing? This. What's the width of that? Ah, okay, right, idiot. Idiot. Blah, 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 blah. Margin auto. Nope. There we go. Sorry, I used Tailwind recently, and Tailwind is you write classes like that, like M auto, M-auto, and stuff like that. And it gets lost in translation. So I know it doesn't look as nice because it stops thingy, but when a card is that spread, and I think you'll agree with me, if I do this, it takes longer to read something that would otherwise shouldn't take long. It's just nice if it's nice and condensed, how it's designed. And then it just expands, to this. I'm pretty sure that in the future, and this is future, maybe 5 years or so, they might add transitioning in for Flexbox and Grid, so things like reposition themselves on the page, just if you add transition all or transition something, so it wouldn't be this jump, But then again, a user will probably just load the website in a viewport instead of doing this, right? No one does that with websites. Why would they? Okay, and then you have this max width of 920 pixels or 92 RAM if you want to stay consistent. But yeah, this is really good so far. This feels really nice and snappy and exactly kind of what I was expecting. Let's have a look what's going on inside. Okay, so here you have some padding. Uh-oh. Right. So check this out. Yeah, I'm gonna do what I would do. So you have 4M, cool. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Doesn't need it apparently. Margin. That's interesting. Used padding for these, but margin for this one. How come? So generally speaking, and I did cover this already, if you'll agree. I see you've got some extra padding there. Okay, padding. Padding is for inside, margin is for outside. Yeah. So right now you should have been using margin for everything I just unticked. That's all margin. That's the job of margin. But instead of adding all that margin stuff to this stuff, why don't we go to SUV's card? We go here, we add padding for RAM. Okay, straight away I saved a lot of time, if you'll agree. Yeah, I don't need all this stuff. I just, with one line of code, with one reference, and just so you see what that does, it just sets it for everything. Yeah. I think you'll agree this is much neater. And now, because this is the parent, we are correctly applying padding to the inside of the parent. So the content inside the parent, all of these things, it has some spacing away from the parent's border, let's call it. Okay? Okay, cool. So that's something to take note of. Let's take this away. Let's add this just so everything looks nice and clean. Maybe you, like myself, you might be a bit of a perfectionist. Then I'll apply this, and then I can just do that, and then I can do padding for RAM. I've actually learned this just now. I never knew I can just add classes inside here. Look at that. Okay, now for my next trick. So there's obviously some spacing in between these things, and I actually did this challenge recently. So let's just have a look at the design. Let's figure some stuff out. Yeah, I'm just going to show you how I might go about this. Do I have some spacing here? No, I deleted them. All right, no worries. So let's see this. Okay, so here we have 3.5 RAM spacing, car and sedans. Actually, let's do mobile first. Sorry, mobile first. 3.5 RAM, 2.5 RAM, 2.5 RAM. Okay, cool. So there's a minimum of 2.5 rem spacing between these items, but as a maximum. So I could just set margin bottom for the car of 3.5 rem. I could then set margin bottom of this 2.5 rem. This is okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah. And we can go on, and let's say, you know, we had way more elements, and we could just keep on going. Whoops, meant to hold that. We could keep on going into infinity doing that. But there's a slightly neater solution, I think. So solution is this: you find the minimum. What's the smallest? You know, what's the most common, I suppose, as well. And especially if it's a card like this that's fairly uniform, because all of these are fairly similar to each other, we can do the following. Where are we? Okay. So, luxury card, let's apply display. Oops. Display of flex. Not what we want. Flex flow, which is a shortcut for direction and wrap. Yeah. So flex flow will be column. Okay. Wrap should be no wrap. No wrap. Okay. I'm not sure why these are resized, to be honest with you. Image. Why are you resized? What's the original sizing? Let me just drag this out. Original sizing, height is 4 rem. Let's just put that to the end. If I do height 4 rem, does it? Oh boy. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll grab the width. No, they have different widths, do they not? 64, 64. Apparently not. Perfect. Uh-oh. Wait, 4, 4, 4. Okay, cool. And then width 6.4 rem. All right, so we can do that. Cool. So, well, this dot card image, we'll copy these two classes, and okay, we're back to the main show. So now I've added the display flex to every single one of these cards. And how can we add that, you know, that spacing of 2.5, 2.5, 3.5 in reverse order? So let's try this. Gap 2.5 rem. So now I have applied that minimum. But we know that the car and the heading, there's 10 more pixels. It's okay. So now we can go to the car or image right over here, and we can just do margin bottom 1 rem. 1 rem? Am I thinking about this right? I think so. Yeah, 1 rem. So now we correctly have, so this should be 10 pixels over there, and then there's another 25 pixels. So correctly 35 pixels. And what do you think? I think this overall is much neater, right? Because a H1 doesn't need to have anything, a paragraph doesn't have to have anything. We just have the line height, the color font family, just the pure styling. But the spacing, as much as possible, is contained within the parent. So gap. I think this can also be called flex gap. Is it? No, Flexbox, no, never mind. It's just gap. Okay, whatever. So gap is a nice way. And as you can see, there's a like little hack I did there, but overall I think it's nice and clean. But again, you could do margin bottom for each one of these things. So if I remove gap, we go one by one, and you could just do this, you know, 3.5 rem. We can do, sure. Margin bottom 2.5 rem, and so on. We could do that. Oh, what's the point? What is the point? What else would I focus on here? Overall, I like this. Yeah, this is nice. I think you did a good job. I do. So I'll stop reviewing your stuff now. And I think I'm going to build the other project. This one, I'm gonna build it from scratch. And just see how I fare, you know. I will use CSS Grid And the only reason I'm going to use CSS Grid, to be honest, at the very least for this element over here, this image and this background image, is because it's just nicer, I think, to position these things with grid. That's all. And the rest can be just, you'll see. Yeah, you'll see. For now, I think that's good enough. I hope that that's somewhat useful.